Welcome back to the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm your host, Rachel Garrett, and today we are exploring hidden patterns that may be shaping our lives, our relationships, and even the way we experience healing. Our guest today is Marvin L. Wilkerson, a spiritual astrologer, hypnotherapist, neurological programmer, spiritual coach, and an author of Soul Fusion Healing, integrating mind, body, and soul. With decades of experiencing studying spirituality, astrology, and the subconscious mind and the deeper layers of the consciousness, Marvin's work blends together ancient wisdom and modern concepts of healing to help people recognize karmic patterns, emotional blocks, and unconscious programming. Today, we're talking about soul fragmentation, the subconscious mind, astrology as a spiritual blueprint, and what it really means to reclaim our power to heal. Marvin, welcome to the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so happy you're here.
I am so happy to be invited.
So, Marvin, you've spent decades studying spirituality and healing. Was there maybe a moment in your own life when you realized there was more happening beneath the surface of our human experience?
Oh, goodness sakes. Yeah, started about 18 years old.
Wow. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I read the book, Judah Krishnamurti's Think on These Things. And of course, at 18 years old, I've been brought up a little bit Baptist and a little bit churchy. And my mother was doing some searching. And so we got in an argument a little bit. And she throws the book at me and says, well, here, read this.
Thanks, Mom.
So I did, and that set me into a whole new world because I
Wow.
realized I could think for myself and I didn't have to listen to anybody about truth.
I love that. And especially at 18 years old, you're like, I've got. So, did you feel like at then, like, did you feel like a path unfolded for you?
Oh, yeah, like it opened up a whole vista. I grew up in Virginia Beach in Norfolk, so I was, teaching all the sailors that would bring their cars to me for repair about reincarnation and why it was so important.
I love that. So, after 50 years of exploring this work, what do you believe about healing today that you didn't understand maybe when you first began?
That all healing is within you.
Why do you
Healing is
think?
a
What?
healing is an emotional component. So you heal the emotion, you heal the belief, and you will heal. And
Absolutely.
so you hold the power. I mean, Albert Schweitzer talked about, we're at our best when we help our patients find the doctor within to heal themselves.
That is so true.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty powerful. And then I like Walter Russell's quote, which says the healing principle within us is measured by our awareness of God in ourselves.
Ooh, I like that too. That's awesome. Why do you think we outsource our power and like instead of looking within?
Well, I mean, this goes back um, into our programming.
Hmm.
Um, and when we are children, our brain is innocent, so we believe everything that we're
So
told.
true.
Okay, um, and so it was Ken Keyes who said, "By the time we reach the age of 21 years old, we've been told 60,000 times who we are, who they are, um, and what the world is." And so we're programmed and conditioned. And so we've got to spend the vast majority of our adult life breaking down conditioning to come into our own set of values and beliefs. And
Absolutely.
so that requires a what? Search and you shall find. And so it, you, you have to get on the path of wanting to know what is so much bigger
Mm,
than external values or through the feedback from the world that you uh, come into the realization of self-realization of who you are.
yeah.
And I think there was somebody that said, "Ye are all gods," and and I think that that's what self-realization is for us humans, is to realize we are all co-creators in
Right.
everything we see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. And so, um, and it takes a while, Rachel, even
Mhm.
when you discover these truths and it pings you, it takes a while to practice it. It takes a
Absolutely.
while to integrate a truth into your life because, I mean, you're responding sometimes instantaneously and sometimes subconsciously. You're responding to life in ways that are part of that conditioning and programming, and go, oh, wait a minute, why did I do that? Why did I say that? You know, um, and so, one of the things that very much is part of my work is trying to teach a two mind concept. And you have to realize the ego mind, which is the conscious mind, doesn't know there's a higher mind. So its job is to try to protect you. And it will protect you against the most idiotic things you could possibly imagine. It will make you right, others wrong, no matter what. And
So
of
true.
course, that leads to the reincarnation process.
So interesting. So your core message is beautifully simple. You can heal your life. What does that truly mean to you?
You can heal your life in every conceivable way. One of the things that I love to play around with and tease people is, like I walked up to a little girl in my aerobics class, and she was, trying to stretch her shoulder out.
Yeah.
And I said, "What's the matter with your shoulder?" She says, "Oh, it's a little achy and stiff." I says, "What belief do you have that creates
What'd she say?
that?" She was too stunned to speak, and I didn't want an answer.
She's probably like,
Who the hell is this guy? But I'm a
I,
teaser.
I love that. I'd be curious because I feel like people who have like stomach pains, like what are they not looking? They're swallowing something that maybe they should speak of, or like they have foot pain and they don't want to step forward on their path. And I would be curious to what a shoulder would do. Maybe not right. I don't
Holding
know.
on,
Oh yes, I like
carrying a
that.
burden.
Carrying a burden. Yes. Oh, okay. All right. I got it. Okay. I like that. Okay. It took me a minute.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know what the arm would do. That's
Okay.
interesting. Okay.
Well, and knees and joints are flexibility.
Oh,
Hips
maybe she's too
are
too
moving
rigid.
forward.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
where are we stuck?
why
So
are you
you see,
stuck living? Oh, okay.
everything has a belief. I mean, I have a chart on every single body symptom that that the full range of
Yeah.
body ailments,
Hmm.
and it's always correct because people realize it. I mean, this is somatic healing.
Right.
I mean, when you realize you're trying to heal your body, well, the first principle is your conscious mind and your body have a relationship. And that relationship, when your conscious mind thinks of something that's negative or an error or a problem or it doesn't feel right or whatever, well, the body responds to that. And the body responds to that, well, then it meets in the solar plexus or the gut brain, which
Yeah.
then sends up the vagus nerve, hey, you got a problem here. And the subconscious mind goes, oh, wait a minute, really? Let me get in the file cabinet here and find out what response that you take when you are in a threat.
There you go.
And
Yeah,
so that's how the subconscious mind listens to the conscious mind, it's through the body. So
absolutely.
when you don't want to experience pain and suffering, well, quit thinking about
So true.
it.
Do you believe that people sometimes give their power away in a healing process by constantly searching for the next person modality or aware answer to fix them?
Oh, sweetie, it, it it's I've read so much on that. It's labels. We get labeled by doctors through the allopathic medicine. We get labeled in so many ways, and it's like one doctor told me one time. It's everybody's looking for one pill, one ill. And the thing about it is if everything that you're going through is part of your subconscious and DNA and
Hmm.
epigenetics, well, then it's in the way you perceive and your perspective on life. Now, you're not going to change that through CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. Sorry, you're not going to talk me out of it because
It's true.
it's subconscious based. So as hypnotists, we have a saying. I'm the last person you come to because you've exhausted everybody else, and you say, "Oh, I think I'll try a hypnosis."
So true. So true.
I have a 62-year-old client that I just worked with this week, and he's got anxiety, and he's had anxiety all his life. And he said he's been through psychology, and he's been through all the stuff to heal it. And so he decided, he heard something about hypnosis. He says, "Wow, I think I'll try that." And
That's
so
awesome.
that's how I get my clients because I'm last on the totem pole, and I should be first.
I have to be honest with you today. I was talking to one of my coworkers and I said, I'm interviewing this awesome guy this evening. I'm going to ask him, I want to be hypnotized to stop eating sweets. Like, I was like, I need the help. But it's so true. Like, I feel like hypnotism is such a powerful modality that a lot of people they're not aware of the healing power that it can do the subconscious mind.
Well, when you think of it as your ego conscious mind, all of your physical senses in the body creates 5% of your reality. The subconscious mind is a million times more powerful than your conscious mind.
It's wild.
A million.
That's wild. Like when you
And
hear
it
that, you're just like,
and it creates 95% of your reality.
wow,
Okay. So that just pretty much makes the conscious mind negatory. I mean, why would Lao say stop thinking and you'll end your problems?
so true.
Okay. I mean, I've had people come into me, especially Geminis. They come to me and says, "What can I do to stop so much thinking all the time? Thinking, thinking, thinking." I said, "Well, you can't. The only thing you can choose is to accept what you're thinking or reject what you're thinking."
Oh, I like that. Is it ultimately true?
Yes. And Einstein said there's only two truths,
What's that?
and that is math and philosophy.
There you go. I
Yeah.
love that. I'm not a good math student. So, your work looks at us as spiritual, mental, and physical beings. What happens when we try to heal one part of ourselves while possibly ignoring the others? Like, I can see that when people are going through like a spiritual awakening, you're so focused on the spiritual awakening that the physical self of that definitely gets put to the side.
Well, that's a beautiful question, because I have to deal with that with all spiritual people or most spiritual people that come to me. I meditate 5, 6 hours a day. Why does all these bad things keep happening to me? I'm working so hard to be spiritual. I said, well, how about if you just be human? Because you're
True.
already spiritual. That's
True.
who you are. So, how about just being a human and accept the influences or reject influences in your life? You're the creator. Quit creating things that you think you have to try to be something. You don't have to be anything. The more you just be natural, normal, and crazy and zany, well, then the more absolutely human you are. And
So
you're not
true.
going to fix a human condition through owning yourself in a cave.
It's very true.
Okay.
Very true. Very true.
Well, that's how I deal with that.
I love that. So that brings us to the idea of soul fusion healing. What is soul fusion and how did you come to understand this concept?
Well, when you get understanding the concept comes from quantum physics.
Mm,
When you can bypass the conscious mind to where it now doesn't interfere with the suggestions given to you through the subconscious mind, well, then you can ascend to making a correction of an error point in the brain where one point is connected to another neurotransmitter, and then you draw a new neural pathway to a positive in the brain. And so you disconnect the negatives, reconnect to the positives, and the subconscious mind will always, always, always choose the easiest path and the path that feels better.
I like that.
And so when you are dealing with the conscious mind, I mean, hypnosis, it's timelessness. When you move into timelessness, then you're creating a climate which to learn. Milton Erickson. When you lose your sense of separateness from your maker, which I call universal consciousness. Other people call it God. They can call it Buddha. I don't care what they call it. But
Exactly.
there is only one, and I call it consciousness. So when you lose your separateness as a separate identity and being from consciousness, well, then once you leave that place and enjoin and bring the relationship of oneness within yourself, well, obviously everything is corrected. You're healed. There are no imperfections in universal consciousness.
Very true.
So it's a matter of being able to get people to relax out of the conscious mind, relax out of the body, so that all of the conditioning and programming is uh, is set aside, and you're opening up to that million times powerful brain, which then draws new neural pathways and transmitters, which then electrifies your auric field, which then creates your attraction, repulsion, adhesion, cohesion principle in your life.
I love that. So you speak about soul fragmentation. What does it mean for a soul to become fragmented and how might that show up in someone's everyday life?
Well, in a multitude of ways. Um, Anytime you have an inner conflict um, of different kinds of behaviors, that can cause a fragmentation. Emotions, very strong emotions can cause a fragmentation. Fragmentation is just a sense of leaving your authentic you. You know who the authentic you is, right? It's the
Yeah.
it's the all in all. Okay. And so when you leave that, then you are fracturing your characteristics, and then that becomes a total disconnect from your inner guidance or your higher self. So there's lots of ways that you can do it. I mean, you can get into addictions, you can go into deep surgery. I mean, there's a whole lot of ways. And
Hmm.
then I was just thinking about this today. How about it's the epigenetics of the DNA code? Well, the epigenetics are the emotional programmings that your ancestors went through that you are responding to and acting out. So it's the same thing. When you heal yourself in this moment, you're healing your ancestors backwards and forwards. And so that's how beautiful and important this life is and the opportunity that you have as a human being.
It's a great time to be alive.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of epigenetics floating around.
So, in your book, Soul Fusion Healing, you explore astrology, hypnosis, and spiritual healing. How did you discover that these different modalities can work all together?
Well, because they're different modalities. Astrology is nothing but a map of energy, and it's a personal map of energy. And that energy, Einstein said, all is energy, and that's all there is to it. So if I can look at your map from the moment of your birth, well, then that gives me the opportunity to define how you're using the various energies, planets, and what is the best way to use them, and how are you using that may not be so good. And so, it's a matter of understanding that your vibration is what you're attracting into your life. So everything is frequency and vibration. And so when you understand the set of instructions that comes with an astrology chart, in spiritual astrology, in transformational astrology, not pop astrology, um, then you understand what the soul's mission is to accomplish. Well, now that in and of itself will help me guide you through some of your beliefs that are in perspective, that are in error, in perception and perspective. It helps me to understand where your wounds are and
Mhm.
what your soul's path is from the past, moving into the future of what it's trying to accomplish. And
That's
so
awesome.
everybody can gain from that. And then, so if I'm reading your energy, well, then obviously we can see where some of the errors and perspectives and the conditioning and programming is affecting you at this particular moment in time. And so if we can correct that perception, correct that perspective through spiritual coaching, well, then you can see how easy that can go in a long way to somebody help
Absolutely.
to heal their life in a multitude of ways. Um,
Absolutely.
and so NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, this is utilizing the power of your visualization. If you can visualize it, you can create it. That's psycho-cybernetics, Maxwell Maltz. So if you if you can visualize something and work towards it, the subconscious mind creates it. You ought to see some of these CEOs' faces when I tell them, you didn't create that. You
You're like,
didn't
but I
make that
did.
happen. I mean, that was your life path, and there was nothing you could do to change it.
I love that. That's amazing. So, was there anything that came through while writing the book that surprised you or even challenged your own spiritual beliefs?
No,
Okay, then. I love
Be-
that. You're like,
because
no, it's amazing.
it was mostly channeled. If I wrote
Love
a
that.
paragraph and it just didn't rhyme, well, then I would ask. I am forever, ever, ever teaching people. If you're going to be spiritual, well, then ask out loud to your guides, teachers, and angels. They will talk to you right now, within minutes,
Yes, they
within
will.
seconds. You will get the answer. And so, it's just not, I mean, that's just one of the other things that I try to help people understand. And, it's been shoved in my face so much. I used to, I used to get angry with them, and I was like, you wait till I get up there.
I love that. Wait till you reincarnate and I become your guide.
Yeah, well, that was my Aries moon, and since then I've done a lot of tempering of that Aries moon,
I
and
love
ain't
that.
so arrogant.
That's so funny. I love that. Oh, I think
But
mine
I
might be
mean,
similar.
Rachel, I just feel like the book came through me. I wasn't the writer. I'm not in charge of it,
Mm,
um, in any way, shape, or form. The book is the book. It's my life's work. It's everything is in there. I talk about quantum healing. I talk about soul fusion. And ultimately, um, I got, uh, I put so many quotes out of the giant minds over the last out of antiquity that I got some of my friends that says, Marvin, why did you put so many quotes in there? I, I don't hear your voice in there. I says, well, that's because my voice comes from those giant minds of antiquity.
yes. I love that. That's awesome. So we often hear people say, well, I'm just a Scorpio, or that's just my birth chart, almost as through astrology has become an excuse for our behavior. How do we use astrology as a tool for awareness without allowing it to become another limitation?
Well, first off, I would bet you 2% of the populace that studies astrology doesn't know they are their moon sign. Their moon is all of their past, all of their experiences, all of their conditioning. And that's what they've incubated. So when they are born into this life under a certain sign, they are becoming a Scorpio. They are becoming a Capricorn. They're becoming a Pisces. So the transition and transformation that needs to occur to embody that power of the sun has to go through the all of your life. And so you can say, every single sign has their positives and negatives. And you know what is negative? It doesn't feel very good. And so
So true.
you're trying to live up to the highest sense of who you are. If you do that, well, then you're going to accomplish what you've learned in this lifetime. But I might add, I did a lot of research in growing up in Virginia Beach at the Edgar Casey Foundation. I read a lot of his readings, and he said this soul gained in this lifetime. This soul lost in this lifetime. This soul gained and then lost. This soul gained and lost it and then regained. So it's a process. We got to. One of the beautiful sayings um, um, is um, realizing that life and death, this comes from Brian Weiss, the Greek regressionist back in the 70s and 80s. If you just quit thinking of life and death as different, there are they're they're not even a factor. I mean, um, then the subconscious mind would have no fear.
So true.
So when you don't think of those two polarities as a polarity, and you just realize that you are a soul and you are forever, and then you are energy, and energy cannot die. Well, then now you're reaching into a level of self awareness that will allow you to be happy and joyful, loving, peaceful. But you still have to be human. You're going to have pain. You're going to have, struggles because that's opportunities to learn. And so when you stay connected to I am forever, and this is just a journey, and it's given me an opportunity to learn some things that I played Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick, and I was wrong.
Oops. I got burned.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're always, this is a playground. We created it together as humans. So, play, have fun. And that's the best thing you can do because I mean, one of the things, a few things, it's an esoteric idea, is that your desires do not come from you. Your desires do not come from your own mind. They come from a soul group which you are connected. You see, everybody thinks that you have autonomy. No, you don't get autonomy until you have reached the highest levels of universal consciousness.
We got a ways to go.
When you reach that level, now you have autonomy. And so trying to help people understand that the desire comes into your mind a nanosecond before you even realize it. And that comes from holographic mind. Michael Talbot did a whole experience where they put a head cap on and they had the subject, they touched him. And that touch lit up the brain. Well, it was a nanosecond before the subject says, "Oh, you just touched me."
Wow.
So you're getting feedback from guides, angels, and teachers, and your soul group prior to you becoming conscious of anything.
So true. So, can the subconscious hold on to an identity or belief even when our conscious mind is saying, I don't believe this anymore?
Well, the conscious mind is going to say, I don't believe this, then it's going to have a response in the body. Any response in the body that's a negative becomes a subconscious threat. The subconscious mind does not analyze. It doesn't even communicate with language. It follows the orders of the conscious mind. So you can change your belief. You can change whatever you think, but the subconscious mind is going to, is going to follow your orders, and it doesn't understand negatives. This is what a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
The subconscious doesn't hear negatives. Doesn't hear no, don't, can't, want, shouldn't. It is just the opposite. I don't want to be sick. Well, then you're going to get
Guess
sick.
what?
because
Have
it
I got
doesn't
a
understand.
flu for you?
If I got a flu for you, evidently you're in a threat situation. So let me give you the flu so you'll go to bed and stop it.
It's so true. It's so true. So, how does hypnosis help us reach the deeper layers of the subconscious that may be resistant to this change?
Because you're bypassing the conscious mind, which is resistance. And once you've bypassed the conscious mind, well, then the subconscious mind will then um, process a positive as the best way to go and an easier way to see something. So when I have you under hypnosis and in a suggestibility state, which is what hypnosis is a suggestibility state. Well, then I can give you a positive suggestion where you had originally thought it was a negative response.
I like that.
And the subconscious mind is going to say, oh, well, that's a lot easier. I see that in a different way.
You said we
And
like the
then,
easiest route.
right. And then the conscious mind, which now recognizes that, says, oh, okay, I agree with that. And now you have a whole new perception, perspective, and belief.
Awesome. Have you ever uncovered a subconscious belief or a karmic pattern with someone that completely changed the way that they understood their life?
Oh, heavens, yes.
Oh,
Oh,
come
God.
on now. I've got
Oh.
millions.
My favorite one was a cardiac nurse at Vanderbilt, and she was steeped in the Church of Christ. I told her I wanted to take her into the light. And she said, oh, I hate light. I hate light. I hate light. I said, why? She says, I just do. I can't stand it. I don't want to do it. I says, well, how about if I take you into hearing Jesus, your higher self? Oh, I'm not worthy of that. I'm not worthy of listening and hearing Jesus. Okay. So I put her into hypnosis and she was very intuitive.
Mhm.
So it was easy to get her pretty deep. So I'm about halfway through the session and I take her into the light and have her absorb it. And she raises straight up out of the chair. She's, oh my gosh, I just heard a voice say, I am always with you, my child. I said, end of session,
I love that.
end of session.
That's
There's
amazing.
nothing more for me to teach you.
I have
Now, you
chills.
talk about changing somebody's life. And of course, I mean, whether it's smoking, whether it's anxiety, whether people have done 20 years of CBT or psychology and still depressed or any, what I have helped so many people come to a new level of consciousness. And that really is my job.
I love
I'm
that.
just bringing you to a different level of consciousness. Hypnosis is just a tool. Astrology is just a tool. NLP is just a tool. So spiritual coaching is at least 50% of what I do, and
That's
it's
awesome.
and it's you know it's probably 85-90% of my life because my teacher back in the 90s. We used to study. We did a lot of study. I did a lot of study for 10 years on the Native American medicine wheel. And
That's cool.
one of the greatest things he ever said was walk the talk or throw the shit away. I said,
Amen. Heck yeah.
well.
Heck yeah.
So that voice is in my head when I get a little bit sideways. I said, you're not walking the talk, buddy. So I
Yeah.
get I make the correction.
I like that. I like
You
that.
know, we cannot choose the influences in our life, but we can choose what influences us. That is one of my
Facts.
favorite quotes. Comes
That's a
from
good
Isabel
one.
Hickey, the spiritual astrologer.
That's awesome. So, for the person listening who knows that they are repeating a pattern but feels completely stuck in it, what is one practical place that they can begin to reclaim their power today?
Well, they need to look at what they believe is creating that reality. What is creating this response? Did I learn it from my mother, my father, my teachers?
Mm,
It's an old program, and so if it's conflicting, then it's painful. You know what's causing the pain. Fix it. I go back to Albert Schweitzer, the doctor within. And so if it causes you pain, so let me answer your question in a very better way, much better way. Their only truths are two: feelings and emotions. Those are the only truths. This is a habitual liar, and I'm pointing to my conscious mind and top of my head. That is Satan. I tell all my friends, this is Satan. and and so you have to understand that it it does not manufacture truth. It manufactures what it wants to be in control. And so the only truths, two truths, feelings, which are moment to moment,
hmm
and emotions. And emotions can come in two categories, two ways: love and joy, peace and happiness, so forth, or come in the negative connotations of pain, conflict, and struggle. And emotions can last a lifetime. Feelings only last while it's occurring. So I teach, when you think of something, run it down to your gut. Run it down
Yep.
to your gut and say, does that feel right? If it feels right, well, then you're in alignment. If it doesn't feel right, well, then you tell your conscious ego mind you reject that thought and go on from there.
There you
You
go.
don't accept what doesn't feel good. And typically, emotions, when you say something that doesn't feel good, well, that's usually self talk, which I wrote extensively about in the book as well. Self talk is the biggest, that's the biggest inhibitor to clients that come to me. Negative self talk.
So true.
Okay. So then you have to help them understand how beautiful they are. I have an NLP that I do with them called the Circle of Excellence, and it's this real simple um, process. You have somebody stand up and um, look at make a list of all the positive things that they have accomplished in their life that made them feel really good. Could be a marriage, could be graduating from college, could be having a baby, anything that made them feel wonderful in life that sticks out as being accomplished. You have them then look down and see a circle
Oh, I like that.
and get them to define and describe what they see in the circle. What do they see? What color is it? Does it have a sound? Is it moving? So you get that description of that circle. And then you have them one by one put all those wonderful things that they did throughout their life: getting married, graduating, getting recognized for something wonderful they did. Put all that in the circle. And when it's all in the circle, have them step in the circle with their eyes closed and feel the power of all that wonderful accomplishments in their life.
That's awesome.
And then you have them go back and forth in and out of the circle 2 or 3 times. Put your hand on their shoulder when they go in the circle, which then anchors in all that power of success
Oh, I like that.
they've created in their life. And once that is anchored in, you have them, you bring them out of that semi, you know, hypnotic state, and they are beaming. And from there, you help them to understand their sense of self worth, a stronger sense of self esteem. Because who among us ever thinks back about all the wonderful things that's occurred in our life, event by event?
Yeah, we don't.
We don't.
Yeah.
And so when you bring all that into bear and feel the energy of that success, that is very, 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 very powerful. And so I use that a lot, um, just simply because um, it's so self worth and value. It's that self esteem. It's that self identity that you could see. Well, by George, maybe I am a little better than I've been thinking I am.
So
And
true.
so that's how I like to get people to think in terms of now by saying, look, how about living one event to the next event in your life? If you live event to event, well, then you're living much more in the now. And then when we can describe the the formula for life, live your excitement, follow your passion, and let go of the outcome.
So true. So true. Which I think this may be the answer to the last question is Marvin, after everything we've talked about today, what is the one thing you hope everyone listening takes away from our conversation? Probably just what you just said.
Feeling trumps thinking, living in the moment, living in defining all your experiences from an energy standpoint, not from a thinking standpoint. I tell people, hey, I grew up in the 60s. We had a motto, and it was, if it feels good, do it.
Do that. That's the motto now.
And so that's where I'd like people to try to work towards is if it feels good, do it. Live your excitement and let go of what the outcome is. You're not in charge. Spirit's in charge. And when it's, if something bad happens, you say, well, what was the opportunity that I had to
Mm,
learn something from that? And if something good happens, you say, thank you, Spirit. And if you're
thank you.
and if you've learned Native American, you either pull a strand of hair or spit in the ground and say, thank you, Mother Earth.
Thank you. So true. I think I'll start doing that. Okay, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna layer that in. What's the lesson here? Thank you so much, and I'm gonna give it back to the earth.
Yes, Mother Earth. Because without Mother Earth, there ain't no reason for a sun.
Well, Marvin, it truly has been amazing to connect with you today. Thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm honestly so honored to have spoken with you today.
Well, I am honored to uh, talk to you, all the wonderful things that you do for people and share with people and teach people.
You're so nice.
So
Aries moon
thank you.
unite.
All right.